the Android documentation. But this one is live on my phone. This is my phone now. Yeah. Now you can see what I'm doing. This is a bubble. Like this is my phone now. This is my number. And then this is the app we'll be building today in Flutter. Parrots, dog, whatever. Yeah, so they're bubbling. In fact, I will come back to them in the app. Yeah, that's that. So that's what bubbles are. Like that feature. We are talking of how do you build this in Flutter? You see, it's purely Android and Android native. It does a lot of things with Kotlin. So but the question is, how do we do it in Flutter? Our objective today is that by the end of this session, we would have built a simple Flutter app without bubbles and then added bubbles inside and now see it work. Do we understand? Are we ready? Good. So let's progress. A brief history of bubbles. Before Android 11, it didn't exist into the Android operating system. So about bubbles, you had to build it yourself. There is this permission that Android gives applications that says allow display over other apps. Yeah. So when you request the permission, when you request the permission, you can construct the bubble. So but it was a lot of work. Like you need to obtain a transparent activity. I'm going to draw and paint when the circle will show and many circles because as you see in the demo, I showed you multiple bubbles from different mobile apps. But pre Android 11, you had to do it yourself. You understand? But now, from Android 11, Android announced multiple new features that were oriented to make your devices or mobile phones to be more messaging oriented. So there's grouped notifications for conversations, more specific to you from modern mobile apps. There are shortcuts, other features, and then there are bubbles. So we are talking about bubbles today. So they found a way to make bubbles work for lower end devices. So Android 10 and backwards. I think bubbles kind of work, but let's focus on higher latest devices. Yeah. So that's for a little history. And so more about Android bubbles. Let's just overview them. Android bubbles are attached to notifications. I think this is very important. In all you want to learn today, know that the notification you normally know, it starts from there before a bubble shows. And so when you show a notification in context of the person, in quotes, I'll explain, for that bubble, Android would like just notify next to the bubble. And when you open it, you can see you should be the one to handle. But like Android has taken care of the entire flow of from the notification bar to the overview and all of those. You don't need to worry about them. And it's an opt-out feature, not an opt-in feature, in the sense that it is now automatically available to all apps and conversation things, but you have to users have high control over it. Like they can like say, oh, I don't want, or I want this one. So it was intentional to not to make sure that it's not overwhelming. There is this thing called shortcuts that when you long press on an app, you see different options. Like when the app is listed in your menu bar, you see different options. So that is like the shortcut stuff. Like it's dynamic. But this time they allow us to do it in a dynamic way that we can change the shortcuts listed. So the dynamic shortcuts, yeah, shortcuts first of all. So let me still use my phone. Let me open an app, for example. What will I use? Let me use messaging. If I long press messaging, you can see people I've had chats with. So these are shortcuts. I don't have WhatsApp here. Well, long press WhatsApp. These are shortcuts. These things are shortcuts. So, but the idea is that we have dynamic shortcuts. The fact that they can change. So bubbles are attached as dynamic shortcut. I think it's something I want to like stress. So behind the scenes, when you show a bubble, it needs to be registered as a dynamic shortcut. If it's not registered, the bubble won't show. And then a person is just a class in Android. We know what classes are. I mean, the normal class of code. I believe everybody here is tech savvy, yeah? So the classes in Android is just a class to fulfill righteousness. So when you're showing a bubble, the icon you attach to that person, the name of that person, and all of those are, you have to provide it. And the last point is very important. Android said bubble has to be resizable because that thing is being embedded and it can float. So you have to give them the ability to like control the view. So you have to make sure it is what resizable and embeddable, all of those. All this background will help us because by the time we start coding, we have to provide some of these details to Android to show the bubbles. Yeah. Now, before we go deep dive into starting the real coding stuff, Android said we should use bubbles for conversations. They stressed on it. That we should only like use it for. That's why there are many conversations applications. I think Telegram, Skype, um, Google Messaging, SMS. Which other one again? Messenger had it before Android 11. They are built Tete. They are built it manually, but when Android now built it, they now use the latest APIs. Good. So, but the idea is that I am of the opinion that if you have any good use case to still use the bubble feature, go on and do it. But you have to still write the code as if it's a conversation because that's how the APIs are provided. But you can use. So if in your app you have a particular screen that it's duplicated many times, but with different context, or that app can actually change activity, can actually create an action, can spawn or initiate a notification. I think that's very important because we don't want to show bubbles that are dormant. When we're showing bubbles, you know that in time they can react, they can tell you something happened on their own. And yeah, can allow you to execute actions. So once you have an app where of the features you have in the application, you pass through all these checklists. I think it's good to use bubbles. Now, the value proposition, like the good use case for bubbles is user retention. Already we have chats and conversations apps. That's for one. But then in addition, we imagine you're building a live customer support app. I don't know, something like Intercom. Intercom does something like that, but Intercom does it, you can build in your app. Yeah, but they give you a web interface. So, but you have a mobile app and you have it's for your staff. So customer support staff. So when different customers are chatting, you can maybe bubble the customers. So they can be switching as they're responding, they're still responding. That's for one. For two, games. Yeah. So if you have games that are multi-session, probably multiplayer at the same time, maybe chess games. Who plays chess here? Good. So chess games, most of the chess apps allow you to play only one session at a time. But I'm beginning to feel like human beings are very powerful. Our brother that won the Guinness World Record this year, and they hear them telling you how he keeps playing multiple chess games at the same time. They are all timed with different opponents. So I'm like, we should also have that kind of feature in mobile apps. But now the problem is, if you have a mobile app where the each chess game is multi at the same time, you need a way to switch fast. And I feel the bubble feature can allow you switch, like when you open one game, open another one, stuff like that. Among other, it's something if you brainstorm, begin to see that the bubble feature is something you can use in your apps for user retention, not necessarily specific to um, uh, conversation and messaging. Thank you. Yeah, I added another point, real-time chart monitors. So maybe you're trading and you have the ticker is reading. So maybe you can build an app where, yeah, this is an app idea. Go build my people. You can build an app where the chart is displayed, and then you can allow people to monitor. Maybe they can set a marker. If it exceeds a particular price, it should notify. If it goes bullish or bearish against or to a particular price, like keep notifying you. So when you see it, you can keep re-updating. And it's hanging there as a bubble. And I think it's a good use case. If we keep going deeper, we can see maybe even betting for those that bet and the live scores, seeing stuff like that. Like, because preparing for this session, I was thinking, is it really worth doing Android bubbles? And I was like, yes, there are many use cases. So that's why we are here. But we're not just here for Android bubbles. We are here for Android bubbles in Flutter. We can't talk about how to do it in Flutter before being comfortable with how Android does it. This is not something you see in the documentation as of now. Yeah. In fact, in the process of preparing this session, we have to now create a package. So if in future you now need it, you might have to come and just integrate so it's easier for you. That wasn't the original intention. The original intention was just to, do the method channels, do that and all of that. But now I said, okay, we can abstract it out and we'll just use the package in today's session. So that's for the value proposition. Requirements. On the Android side, we need notification permissions. From Android 10 or 11, the Android operating system had emphasized that we need to show permissions. Like we need to request permission before we can show notifications. That's important. The package we created did not take that into account. So if you be building it, use the normal permission handler or whatever to show permissions. That's one. And you have to configure the activity because you need to create a different bubble activity. And creating it is important because that activity you set it as resizable and embeddable, and that's where everything will be happening. If you did everything within the same main activity for Flutter, it will be breaking. Like Flutter will be spawning multiple stuff. At the point, I'll explain more context. So Android classes. Well, when I prepared this slide, the package wasn't yet technically ready, but I don't think you need to know a lot. I think what's relevant here is that to show a notification in Android, you need to provide a notification channel. The notification channel is like the category of notifications. When you go to your settings and you try to off a particular, let me say you're in Instagram, you want to be seeing, you want to receive messages. When someone sends a message on Instagram, you want to receive. When someone makes a new post, you want to receive. But you don't want to receive posts on your likes and comments because you're too popular and you get it off then. So you can go to Instagram settings and turn off likes, turn off comments, but you allow new posts and new followers and the rest. Now, supposedly, Instagram has implemented likes as a notification channel, comment as a notification channel. What's the other one? Follow. Thank you. Follow as a notification channel. So why is what important to mention is that we have to specify our own notification channel. So that will be like a group. In fact, to turn off a bubble, you hold a notification channel together with a person class or a person ID and turn off. The package didn't do it, but just be aware. Yeah. And bubble metadata like the icon to show the icon on the bubble. Just be aware of these things. If you're ever to do bubbles with this package, you will not need to code all these things in Kotlin because normally you'd have had to do it in Android with method channels, but you will no longer need to do that. The package handles it for you. Yeah. Now, this is what we'll be doing today on Flutter. We will handle notification permissions. We will use a prepared package and we will change the view of our small demo app when it is in a bubble. Because the view of the app when it's in bubble should be different. When it's bubbling, you don't want your users to doing other things. The person that gave me the example with Facebook Messenger, when you're bubbling, you cannot go back to the home screen. If you want to go back to the home screen, Facebook Messenger will now close the bubble and open the main screen for you. Because the bubble is meant to be like, follows you around and just small activity. You should not be capable of maybe updating app settings within the bubble. It doesn't make sense. Are we with me? Great. So another one is now this is quite technical. Intent URI. Let me explain. An intent is something you give Android when Android wants to call your app. For those who do Android native, you know intents. So an intent, let's say you want to open an app from somewhere else, you need to create an intent and give Android. So when you give it Android, Android will use that intent and give to the receiving app. So maybe if there were other data you provided, maybe the particular person to receive the message or to send the message to, it will be attached to the intent. A URI is the same as like a link or a URL. You understand? Like uniform resource. Uniform resource was not locator. Locator is okay. Thank you. It works. Anyone? But we know what we're talking about. So in Android activity, in an app Android manifest, we would have had to configure the URI, the stuff. I'll show us what it looks like, and we'll handle it. So when in time our Flutter engine is loaded, our Flutter app's loaded, we'll check, was there anything that was given? If yes, we'll load the chat screen in context of it. But when you're building your own contextual app, when you're not a chess or something, you get to know like it's no longer be a chat, but it's be something similar. It's be an ID of the game or something like that, or the football match or whatever you're doing. Are we together? Flutter procedures. Okay, so let's go to the workshop proper. So from here, I will now maybe sit down and start coding, and I'll be explaining more as we are doing. Yeah. So people, the workshop code. So yeah, this was the repo on which the workshop is. Is anyone following? Would anyone want to get the code, or should I leave the screen? If you want to get, can get the link now. I actually shortened it though. I changed it on my domain name, so I can also like mention for you and I go on. Oh, let me progress. Once you need it, you come back. Or Michael, you can help me give him. So yeah. So the workshop proper. Let's see our hands. Escape, minimize. Yeah. So this is the details of the workshop. We will basically be following the README. We have prepared this repository for bubbles, and this is what the final app looks like. I'll be using my phone. I'll be using my phone all through. Yeah, just feel like it's easier. This is what the final app looks like. The chart. In fact, in the Android documentation had provided these people app, yes, and it was built in Android. But oh, sorry, let me try to make it bigger, maximum. Anyone? Is it better now? So it was built in Android, but we kind of rebuilt the entire code in Flutter, the entire UI and stuff, like the cart. If you write, let's say, what does the card say, and send, you should like respond with a meow. Let me minimize. Oh, sorry, that's responded, and it has bubbled. And if I bubble, you see bubbled. This is Flutter. All everything here is Flutter. So we'll be like going through how can you build this. The starter code is actually this thing without the Flutter. Yeah. So we'll progress like and then progressively do what we need to do in Flutter to show bubbles, and that will be it for our session. I start. So the workshop requirements is you should have Flutter SDK installed. You have your Flutter ID set up. You have an Android device or an emulator. So I'm using my device. I prefer the fact I'm touching the device and you're seeing it live than because sometimes some things may work in the emulator, it doesn't work on the device, and users are using on the real device. So yeah, you want to go on the emulator because it's fast or faster, but I also advocate that sometimes you also test it on the device. And so, but I want to use my device, so let's go on. Yeah. So I was also following the workshop instructions and explaining. I think that's how we'll progress from here. Are we together? So if you have questions, just noting them down. We'll have a session for questions and we'll do that. So we'll clone this very repo where I am in. Permit me. Okay. Git clone. Oh shit. Control V, sorry. Oh wow. I had cloned it already. See the code. Let me clone again. Let me start that fresh so that I know say Obumi worked in your laptop, it not work in my own. So that's it. And then CD, let me know, let me follow the instructions. I'm the one who prepared it, so I have it off here, but it's fine. So let's change directory into the workshop, the place. Check out the starter branch because this workshop people already has it working. So we'll check out the starter branch where the bubbles are not yet there, and we'll follow the instructions, set it up. We've checked out. And then run flutter pub get. It's kind of necessary because now the default code base has a mini state management well set up. The UI built all of those. Yeah, I'll just go through it a little. You said open the project in February IDE code dot. I prefer using VS Code, so I use Android Studio, and that's fine. And now he said run it against an Android device. Run the app on Android. Should I make this bigger so that I can see more? Is this better? Please don't hesitate to give feedback. It helps. Yeah. So, and for that reason, I think I'll also be making the code bigger on the screen. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, I think this works. So run the app. So let me switch to my Flutter profile. So Flutter uploaded into VS Code, and it should detect. Yeah, that's detected my Android device. Yeah. So let's run the app in lib main.dat. They run up here, up here, up here. Good. Let's run it. So while it is compiling, it won't take time. It's a small application. So this app, I think the thing is a chatting app, and as with all chatting apps, we will need a message class, for example. And the message class has an ID, a contact ID, a photo, nullable, the text of the message, when the message was sent, and if it's an incoming message or not. Also, we have a contact class, which is just the name and its ID. So the name will be maybe dog, cat, sheep, the animals you're using. Now, uh, we are using Izar. Izar, I guess maybe I show their page. Izar, is it Izar.dev? Yeah, Izar.dev. I just chose it for synchronizing the messages of. Who has ever used Izar before? Okay, so Izar is a NoSQL fast database. So we will be using Izar to store the messages, so that when you close the app and open it back, you understand the message will still be loaded from um, the person's device. Okay, that's built is installing. That's for that. So I think another thing I want to comment is that we have the chat screen, the chat service. So the chat service initializes Izar, and you can see we have this private reply method. So it replies based on the animal in question. So if it is a cat, you know what the cat say. If it's a dog, this. If it's a parrot, it repeats your text. But if it's a sheep, it moves now. It shows you, look at me, and like shows you its picture, something like that. We'll see it live. And this place has other useful stuff. I don't think I'll go deep into explaining them, but it all works. Properly prepared. When you send a message, yeah, after 5 seconds, we get a reply and reply. So the beautiful thing about using Izar, which I liked personally, was that Izar emits streams for you. So the moment I set a reply from here, the UI, this chat screen, there's a stream builder listening to the messages. Yeah, stream builder dot get messages. So the moment you reply, the UI updates itself for us without us changing what the messages. And this place is just make sure that it always scrolls down to the latest message. This is just demo. When you're building your own real life app, you like do more optimizations, no? But this is just like get it work. So it has finished compiling and building. Let's check the logs. That's finished. And let me bring my phone in view. You can see this is now it from. This is no longer it from the one built. This is the one from here. I think. Excuse me. Let me do something. Permit me. Let me uninstall, and redo. Yeah, I should stop. Let me redo. I should have done that so that I'm sure like it's a fresh build. Yeah, so we see it in action from a fresh build, and from there we will now progress into the workshop steps. The next step in the workshop is he said run the app on an Android device and explore. So we'll go back and explore, but overviewing after exploring, he said okay, it's up, install. After exploring, we will set up notification permissions. After notification permissions, we will do the bubbling. After bubbles, we will handle launch contacts, like the given contact that opened it. And after that, we'll modify the UI when you're in the bubble. And that'll be it for today. Yeah, I'm really watching time so that I know that we don't exceed the time we're given. So let's start. Okay, this is the fresh one. What happened? Okay, yes, this is the fresh one. So we have our cart, is empty. We have our dog, is empty. We have our parrot, is empty, and all of those. So, like expected of parrot, if I tell him, please don't repeat me, it will only repeat me, and that'll be it. The parrot talks a lot. But there's no notification, nothing. So if we open it back, 5 seconds, it just repeated it. Like we've not integrated notifications, we've not integrated bubbles in this basic starter. So from here, we are going to start integrating notifications and bubbles, and we'll keep testing this app and we'll see it work. That's what we're doing today. Are we all in sync? I can progress? Good. So let's go to the workshop instructions. So the session B, we've done section A. Section B says, add the following to Android manifest immediately after the opening manifest tag. Generally, any permission you need to declare in Android, you need to specify Android manifest main. You need to specify permissions you need. So we've added it, that's that. Instruction 2, install permission handler. We were using it to like detect when which permissions were given. So terminal, Flutter pop art, permission handler, whatever. It shouldn't take time. The next instruction is create a new .dat file called notifications permission service. Yeah, sorry, that's opinionated. You can do whatever you want to do, but I just feel like I like that. This say, okay, that's installed, finish. So we should go to services file. We read about chat service. So let's introduce a new service. So the way I did these services is to make them a singleton. The idea that you have a dot instance, just one instance of it. So you can call it from anywhere. Say, paste the following code. Let's copy and paste. So let me minimize a little. What this service does is it checks if the permission is granted, and then it requests for the permission. It allows you to request and check. But then an interesting part of this is widgets binding observer. This is a tool in Flutter with which you can check for life cycle changes. So when your app is minimized or reopened, when your app is closed, it notifies us. Because when you call Android to check permissions, your app goes in the background. So when it comes back, add observer this, you want to like check back if the permission was granted. Yeah, all of that. So this should work. Let's check the instruction. It says, after that, in home screen, import this. Yeah. Let me close all. Home screen. We should import. Or let me. I'm a fan of alphabetical order. So, and we already, before I continue, I didn't talk about the home screen, but it's clear. It's not a big deal. It's just the contacts and this icon here is to clear the database. This one at the top right of the home screen, it clears the database. So if you just like utility, so you see here it does charts.clear. Yeah. In home screen state, declare a reference to this. So let's just import, declare the instance here. And then in the actions list of the app bar widget, add a stream builder on the is granted stream of the service. That shows an app icon button to request permissions if not granted. Yeah, I've copied it, so I should paste it here. So what it will do is it will add a new icon here. So when we click on it, it will request permission. If the permission is not granted, uh, the icon will be showing. If the permission is granted, the icon will hide. So like we need it for bubbles to show technically. So but we have to stop the app because we've added permission handler and permission handler, I suppose it also has method channels. So for those method channels to be loaded, we have to stop the app and bring it back. Yeah. So let's rerun our main.dat file. Something like this. Yeah, let's run the app. While it's running, so we'll see it in action. While it's there, bubbles. So I think I can take this time while it's compiling to explain this stuff, this part of Android. You know, when you open an Android app and it opens another one, I think the bigger the better. Nah, scrollable, whatever. When you have an Android app, when you open one and it opens another one, there's a lot of mechanism going behind the scenes to make that happen. So let's say you have, okay, well, let's say you have, I want to get a good example, WhatsApp. You know, when you Facebook, Instagram, you can set a WhatsApp button. When someone taps on that WhatsApp button, it takes you into the WhatsApp, your own WhatsApp app, and you can chat the person. So WhatsApp had added a scheme or a URI, a content URI for themselves, peculiar to WhatsApp's own APIs here in their Android manifest file. So once you tap it to open the respective activity, activity is like a screen in Android. Yeah. So we will need to set our own scheme. The idea of setting the scheme is that Android will recompose HTTPS, bubble in Flutter example, slash chat, slash whatever. Anytime you give it as the intent URI, I spoke of before, it will give it back to us later when the app is being loaded. Good. So we will follow these instructions. Let us check to see. Okay, it has recompiled. And if I ask for notification permissions, you can see ask for it. If I deny, you know what next? I don't allow it to show again. And that's why if you check in the code, then I had a place where I said request show app settings, open app settings. So if in case it does, you go to app settings and on it. But let's allow because there's no time for counting time. That's it. So we now have notifications, permissions activated. This is necessary to show bubbles. You need notification permissions, otherwise bubbles won't show. Let's progress to making bubbles to show. Step one, add a new intent filter in Android activity, in main activity, sorry. So in Android manifest, in this activity, before it closes, there's already an intent filter for main launcher. Like this, the one that is loaded when you click on the app from the home screen. This is what works, this intent. So once add a new intent, yeah, we've pasted. That's step one. Now, step two, create a new file called bubble activity alongside main activity. So in the main activity, it's just plain. We need to create a new bubble one. And it's a bubble activity that will be loaded for bubbles, technically. That's what Android will call. And we'll copy and paste this. So it's the same thing as main activity. And all we need to do is that it will load the Flutter engine for us. Each Flutter engine is tied to a given view or a given activity at a point in time. So we cannot reuse the same Flutter engine for those multiple activities. That is why we need to create a bubble activity that will be reloaded every time. The main activity, see, in Android manifest, this is quite technical. See this. You see this English, Android launch mode, single top. Yeah. We are telling Android that we want only one instance of this app. At no time, see, at no time if this user comes and taps here, should you initiate a new instance of the app. That's what this instruction in main single top does for us. Yeah. This single top, what it does is that at every time we open our app from the home screen, it must open the exact same app. It cannot spin multiple instances. But then this cannot work for bubbles because bubbles are multiple instances of the same app. Okay, maybe it could work because the way Android does applications is different. But we're in Flutter. The Flutter engine can only be attached to one instance of the app or one view, one activity. So for the fact that we've created a bubble activity and we're going to be having multiple of them, we have to use a different one, and the configuration is different. As you can see in the workshop instructions, it says document launch mode always. So there'll always be new ones for this bubble activity, and that solves our problem. Furthermore, we have to set allow embedded true and mark the activity as resizable so that Android can make it show the bubble. My people, if you don't fulfill all these conditions, bubble no go show. And believe me, it's actually easier because, like I told you before Android 11, if you were to do it yourself, you do more work than this to just show bubbles. But you want the money, you want to retain your users. So, my brother, my sister, show the bubbles. So, let's go. Let's paste this into our activity. After closing one, let us add a new activity for the bubble and then see add the same intent filter or wherever. That's for step 4. Step 5, install conversation bubbles package. So the package is ready, but we've not yet published it to pub.dev. Luckily, Flutter allows you to specify packages in your Flutter repos in multiple ways. From either installing from pub.dev, yeah, and maybe the one we will just set a version after the package name, or relative to your repo, like you use path or using Git. And even when you use Git, you can equally use path too and set a branch. So by using Git, the repo is live, is open on another tab, but it is a package code and well documented with a lot of instructions on how to do it, minus this workshop. But this workshop just like niches it down. Yeah. So we'll just copy and paste in dependencies of PubSpec. Let me close all this. PubSpec YML dependencies. We'll just paste it here. No. This is YML. It has to be a new line. Indent and indent. Is it YML or YAML or YAML? Like, how do they pronounce it? Okay, YML works. Okay, let's continue with that. So we should run Flutter pub get so that Flutter can detect this new conversation bubbles package that we'll be using to show bubbles. We've done that. So we should create a new bubbles service that will be like a layer of abstraction over the package. So we want to show bubbles, we'll call this service instead. Yeah. And we'll also initialize the package and all of those things. So the way this package was done, it was on the way that with some idea of flexibility. You know, normally when you show a notification in Android, even iOS, it's just one icon you'll be using. So the package expects that you initialize it first. You initialize. So you provide the icon, your app icon. By default, all Android apps newly generated, their icon is at bitmap/IC launcher. You have to set the various versions for the DPIs like X, HDMI. Is it HDMI? What did I just say? Please excuse me. I see launcher. Well, I was correct, sir. Okay, NDPI, HDPI, stuff like that. I don't know if you can start talking about. So, yeah. But then the package needs you to give it the fully qualified name of the bubble activity. By fully qualified, we mean the package name plus stuff. So your package name will be different. For this repo, this workshop, we just use com.example.bubbles in Flutter. Your package name would have maybe your domain name. So if you're on WhatsApp, com.whatsapp.whatever, the bubble activity. And if in case you give the bubble activity a different name, or if in case the bubble activity, you have various configurations, various activities for stuff like that, I want to do them in Flutter, you can do it with the package. Yeah. So we have the show bubble. You give it the contact and the message text and set it to expand to false or true, whatever. It extracts the ID of the contact. So I want to talk about something. When you're showing notifications in Android takes an integer notification ID, like a numeric number as a notification ID. Maybe in your app, you'll be auto-incrementing it and it'll be showing. The idea is that when you want to update the same notification, you should reuse the same ID. That is why in this snippet, we are using the ID we extrapolated from the contact as a notification ID always. Because the idea is that we'll keep re-updating the same notification or the same bubble. In fact, for a given bubble, it's the same notification, it's the same for all the notifications attached to a given bubble. Yeah, that's the English. Do you understand? For all the notifications attached to a given bubble, you should reuse the same notification ID. Yeah. In fact, not to keep it things simple, I just did the bare minimum. You should actually keep track of the messages or the text in that chat or all the history of notifications and join them together and show as one notification as you're updating notifications. But I beg, life is hard. Let's just make it to work first. In our own free time, we cannot be doing those things, yeah, because I don't want us to get confused. Yeah, message text, the person class, not a big deal. So there are many ways to show an icon, the icon of the bubble. There are many ways. But for this, we chose to use bytes, B-Y-T-E-S, raw data, binary info. So we convert the image, we load it, it's using it as bytes, so that we can send it through the method channel to Android, and Android will show. You could also, if the the item was an asset already stored in the Android's own resource RES resource folder, like Mipmap launcher, you could use that one. But I was like, figuratively, nobody building a Flutter app will be hard coding the profile pictures of the users. You can't do that. So we need a way to send the profile pictures from Flutter to Android, to the native side. And that will be that for now. We'll come back to more. So we've pasted the code, we've explained what's going on there. And then they said in main.dat file, we should still add the bubble service. Main.dat file, imports. And then initialize, important. You should initialize it so that the bubble is set. And as usual, we have to stop Flutter and start it back again. And then in chat service, we should import it again. Chat service. These are just opinionated stuff. All I want you to do for me is make sure you grab how we are making the bubble to work. You could be using your block, your provider, your river pod, any state management of choice. But the idea is, I like this idea of singleton classes, something dot instance, something like what I did here. Let me show you this bubble service, for example. You create a private constructor underscore suffices. You go underscore something, and then you create a final instance, and that's all. So this will never be initialized. Anytime you call bubble service of instance, it will give you the main one. If you now go and do bubble service bracket open bracket close, when you define trouble, no go work. You understand? But like this, I think Firebase off, the Firebase off of instance, all those they have a similar way of doing it. So I prefer this way. It's opinionated. I prefer this way of declaring singletons in your Flutter packages, Flutter projects. You could use get it and get singletons. You could use what's the other guy? Uh, State management architectures, provider, block, value notifier listeners, all of them. But those ones actually attached to the build context. It's good, but I beg, let's continue. Let's continue. So the show bubble. This is the main thing. In the same method of chat service, let us show the bubble. Chat service. Remember that time we send, after 5 minutes, we should reply. So from here, after replying, we should show the bubble. And that's it. Mind you that we've already defined how the bubble will be shown here. Now, there's an interesting thing I want to do. I want to add that when you are in a chat screen like this, there will be an icon at the top right here that can bubble notification. So let it be possible that when you're chatting with somebody, if you choose like bubble it and want so that I can bubble you and leave the app, that icon will do that for you. So this can be useful if maybe in your app you're building, you have a show in bubble button inside people's messages. Messenger has that. You can check it out later. They have it. So how will you do that? We should get this in chat screen state. Where is that chat screen state? Chat screen state. Code. Let's close everything. Chat screen state. Yeah. Let's add the bubble here. Oh, we should import too. And then yeah, so we should add these actions to the app bar. So I'll open a new icon that will set Shulo to expand to true with a contact, but no message. So technically, to show an empty notification and bubble, but the package is built in a way that in Android, when you want to show the bubble, expand it, you can pop a notification, but you will set suppress notification or show alert only once, one of those two stuff, and then it's only show the bubble and not show the notification. Android really tried in engineering these things. I mean, when you look at when you're using it, I'm really thinking about the fact that they thought about every use case. I mean, it was really one of a kind. So this is our app bar. I think you can just paste here. I think that's all. Any other thing to do? No. So if the Flutter app is running, stop it and run it again. Otherwise, just run. Test. Let's go and test. So we have to stop the app. Ctrl KW, main.dat, run. Yeah, it won't take time. So let's compile. So we see it in action. If you see it in action, then maybe we can even stop here. The bubble don't show after all this English, but we still do two more things: handling the contact that was opened from, and showing and changing the UI when you're in the bubble. We'll do those two things, and then we'll take questions, and that'll be the end. Yeah. So installing. Let me put my phone in view as usual. That's opened. I can see it's fresh. Remember, we had already granted notification permissions, so we are sure that all bubbles will show this time. So let's open dog. What does the dog say? Between cats and dogs, which do you prefer? Oh wow, everyone likes cats. Okay, that's you now made me type cats into dogs on time by mistake. Send now. Village people. That's sent. So let's minimize and see what our bubble will show, like as the demo originally had. That's shown. That's shown actually, but I minimized. Let me try again. Open here. That's shown. Please repeat yourself. Let me minimize again. 1, 2. Perfect. So that's it. And it has bubbled. So there's a lag, there's a latency, but that lag is because we are in debug mode with Flutter. You understand? Flutter is bringing up the engine. But if we're in production, I use APK build it to be fast, so don't worry about the lag. So, but yeah, that's it. Our app opened in a bubble. In fact, if I go back again and come here, and now in this dog, you see if I tap that icon I was talking about, you saw what happened. So it's showing the bubble. If we did not do all these things so well crafted, my people, you'll be solving bugs, no good work. Trust me that I prepared for this very well and all of those. Before I progress to the next steps, any questions? I should round in. You sure? Okay. I still have next two steps before I round. Okay. I still have next two, but they are minors. They are not as demanding as you've done the majority, which the bubble showing. So the workshop instruction next two parts is one, the launch contact. I had mentioned about the intent URI before. So in our main activity, bubble activity is being called. And as you can see, there's a problem. If I come here, let me leave dog, let me go to maybe sheep, and ask me, show yourself, or how are you doing, anything. You know, the responses are static, but just for demo purposes. If I leave this, when the bubble will come, there's a flaw. The flaw is that it still loads up the home screen. And that's, for me, that's not right. It's supposed to load the particular screen of that particular chart. So we need to find a way to read the intent URI that was returned and then change the UI based on the contact that was launched. Now, the advantage is that it is possible to, the package already does that for us. Yeah, the package is already like reading the stuff for us, so to be minor. So that'll be the next step, launch contact. I think there's something else I want to demo here. This people is showing something else showing, or whatever. Yeah, remembered. So let's have this like this. Let's see the bubble in action. This sheep, let me use dog instead of sheep. This dog, the last message I first gave it was please repeat yourself. Let me give it a depth first Lagos. It will still say wolf, but you realize that this time Android will bubble, given that the bubble is active, the notification will come from the bubble and no longer from the description bar. Watch. Can we now see it? That's the beauty of it. I will open. Okay, we'll see debug this here. When we open and still come to dog, because we're using ISAR database, the data is syncing. So if you're to use bubble in Flutter, I think you have to find a way to ensure that the data you're showing is not attached to the Flutter engine. Maybe you're saving as local state or you're fetching from your API. If you were in Android, it would not be a problem because it will be globally available. But because when you Flutter builds on top of Android, it's actually an issue to think about. But it's minor. Yeah, let's enter the next step. Launch contact. In the contact service, let us create a private launch contact and is it contacts? No, chat service. A private launch contact and a getter. The reason for making private and getter is so that we are sure that it can only be set from within here. You cannot set the value from outside. Any value, any variable declared with an underscore is private in Flutter, so that's it. In that. Then in the conversion bubbles package, we import it here. Next one, So in the init method of chat service, after initializing the database, put the intent URI. Init. Here. So what are we doing? We are calling the package to fetch if there was any intent URI. If yes, it's not null, we try to parse it for the URI itself. And then we try to get the very last, because we're expecting that if the last one would have been the ID we gave it originally, then we fetch the contact and set. In turn, in main activity, in the main.dat file, no, this is it here. In the main.dat file, we can actually launch the direct screen. Thank God for Navigator 2.0. We can declaratively set ungenerate initial routes. It's different from ungenerate route. Ungenerate route is actually like for every route. But ungenerate initial route, when Flutter is loaded, we can set, okay, we'll definitely always put the home screen. We should put the home screen behind so that when the user presses the back button, it should load up, like it should come back to the home screen. But then, if there's a launch contact, we should show the chat screen content of the launch contact on top. What again? stop the app as usual, and then run. So what we expect this time is that because we've taken into account the intent URI and the launch contact, when you will show the bubble and open, it should open directly into the chat screen of that bubble. Chat screen of that bubble. Yeah. So the last thing we have to do is to handle the UI when it's in bubble. It's also an easy one. That's built. Good. So as usual, we ended with the dog at depth first Lagos. So let us use GDG Lagos this time. What do we expect? We expect that send. We expect that when it will bubble, yeah, it will bubble into when we open, you should open the chat screen directly and not the home screen. And that worked. Thank you. Thank you. That worked. But there's a second problem now. Yeah, that's the life as an engineer. We are problem solvers. When you solve one, you get two free. I don't know who gave that quote, but I believe in it. Yeah. So the bubble is showing and it's navigating directly into the specific screen. And we leveraged on generate initial routes of Navigator 2.0 in the material app. But the problem here is that we need to change the UI when it's in bubble. Remember, we said we don't want the user to be capable of going backwards. If I'm here and in my phone, I press the back button. Oh, wait. Press the back button. It showed me the home screen. We don't want this. That when it's in bubble. And also, if I open the bubble back, I close the bubble mistakenly, sorry. But it should still be in Flutter is still running. And another thing is that if I open the bubble, you see, uh, the bubble opens to this. You see this, notice something. I opened the bubble and opened to the particular dock screen, but before we didn't have that feature. Why? Because intent URI is still being passed. For when we called open bubble, we still gave it the same dog's own ID. On coming back, it still fetched it back again. So it's auto-handled for you. Life not supposed hard now. So, but now there's a problem. We shouldn't see, okay, this Android debug is hiding it. Where is that debug check to initialize? What how they call it again? False. Let's hide it. Good, that's hiding it. This thing, it doesn't make sense for it to show when you're in the bubble. You're in the bubble already. So it shouldn't show, and there's no action. And it makes sense there's no action. You're trying to show a notification to a notification that's already in view. You understand? So our next line of action is to handle the UI changes when we are in a bubble, and we'll be done for today. So here, the instruction says, go to bubble service and put a getter and private boolean for bubble. And then fetch it at load time. Yeah. If the plugin is in bubble, we'll return whatever. And then inside the main.dat file, just the way we did with the charts, have an instance here. And now we should now put this boolean checker. If we are not in a bubble, load the home screen. Otherwise, don't load it. If we are not in a bubble, if bubble does not in bubble, load the home screen. But if you're in bubble, don't put the home screen. So the idea is because given that the home screen was not put, there will be no back button to navigate to. And the moment you press back, it minimizes the screen for you. That's the logic. Furthermore, we should also hide that open a new icon. That icon that loads the bubble, we should hide it from there. So we'll have to go to chat screen, bring in bubble. Okay, we already have bubble here. We just have to something like this. Life should not be hard. I keep saying that. Like, it's a personal principle. You will make it as easy as possible, and that. Launching doesn't take time. In my opinion, I found USB Type-C to be faster than Wi-Fi. But emulator is the fastest. If an emulator was launching, this thing will be faster than this. But I think the speed is quite considerable. Yeah, we have not had a lot of wasted time in always rebuilding a new Flutter. And because we're doing a lot of changes with the method channels and initializing, it's not things you can rely on how to load and how to restart. It's good to just start and stop. So we are sure the feature came in. Oh, it has loaded. So here is it, people. If we open all this we're testing for, that when the bubble shows, we've used dog a lot. Let's use sheep. No, let's use parrot. Parrot repeats everything we say. So I am happy at the first. Are you happy at the first? Lovely. So send now. Minimize. If it bubbles, we expect this time that it should not show the back screen and the open a new screen. And that's that. Oh, but there's a comma. The parrot now is two to the left. Let's just add a space eyes in chat screen. Where is that stuff? Just here. Let's just add one. If it's in bubble too, no, if it is in bubble, not if it's not in bubble. If it is in bubble, constant size box, yeah. Thank God for AI. Autocomplete at its best. Yeah, something like this. It's now cleaner. So let's see it from another app. No. This one. Close. Dog. This time, let me give my name. Now, there's something else I want to even talk about, Seth. There's something else I want to mention. The purpose why we put the intent URI in both yeah, and without the opening and stuff. The purpose why we did, never mind, it's the purpose why we did the intent URI in both main activity and bubble activity is so that if in case the user opts out of the bubble, the notification should still show. Like we said, you should prioritize notifications. For example, don't bubble this conversation. I've disabled it here. If I come back here and still show hello to the dog, the bubble, the notification will come up. It should come up. But this time, if I tap on it like this, it should still open the right screen with without some bubble. And if I tap the back button, I should see home screen behind. So that was it's very important to know you're handling when you are in bubble or not. You're handling launch contact, there are different things. Definitely in your engineering, you spend more time and just get things right. And it's the right once and it's working. You don't need to redo these things again. But yeah, I think that's it about the workshop instructions. We've concluded that we were done. So we'll go back to the slide. Yeah. And then after that, we'll take questions and we're done with the session. Slideshow back. So the workshop we've done, we've seen a repo that had I didn't have the bus set up. We've tested the people app, played around it, explained how it takes to show a bubble, and we've shown bubbles. So from there, best practices. One, only show bubbles if the notification is important. It's not everything that should bubble. I mean, you want to notify that app Android settings were updated or your app has an update, you don't need to bubble it. You can't even start bubbling it because how you start generating the person class and all those things. No. So it has to be contextual. And like I said, prioritize notifications over bubbles. This implicit, like the last thing I did, I blocked the bubble of dog. So no matter what you do, dog will never show again. Your app, in fact, you can actually ask Android if the thing is showing. There's an API for that. But always first of all, build, this is notification. Notification is working before you now building bubble on top of it. And this app was so specific to bubbles. I still expect maybe you should use normal Flutter local notifications or awesome notifications or whatever notification package you're using for Flutter. Also, maybe next year when we have time, who knows, anyone can volunteer and help. We could open some GitHub issues with those notification packages and see if we can integrate these bubbles inside so that everyone now who already uses it can simply just show it in Android. Because I was like, if we are to make this package very robust to handle all the flows, is a lot of code. There's no reinventing the wheel. And what you need to add to show a bubble to those existing notification packages are so small. Just the bubble metadata and some stuff, just small things. So, but it's given that it's open source, you have to take the time to craft it and show. So, if anyone's volunteering, please do meet me after this. And then there's another thing I did not do in this code. I mean, we've tried. We are not coding again, which is when you are in dock screen and dock screen was open. If you notice, I always will minimize for it to show. But if I don't minimize, okay, no, let me leave dog. Let me use a parrot. I'm still very happy. For example, when you send now, when you don't minimize, if you don't minimize, our bubble still show. Whether you see, it still showed. It's not making sense. It's not supposed to bubble or notify. Okay, let me use dog, for example. Keep backing. Sorry. It will still show in context. And this doesn't make sense. When you are in the view for a notification, you shouldn't show a notification. That one, I trust your engineering. You should be handling that in your life. I mean, you know what you're doing. I think we are getting to the end of our session. Yeah, thank you.